For years, powerful people tried to convince the public that the Epstein scandal was about one bad man, one bad billionaire, one island, no one else involved. Verifiably false. We know that a large reason why Epstein was able to avoid accountability for so many years was because he moved in elite circles. He was friends with some of the most powerful and wealthy people on the planet, who not only were also involved in his depraved crimes, but also protected him as powerfully as possible. One of those people was Bill Gates, who now faces extensive grillings in front of congressional bodies over his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Today, we're going to be talking about why Congress is suddenly investigating Bill Gates, which other powerful people they're looking into, and what the newly released Epstein batch tells us about accountability and transparency in our government. Members of Congress from the House Oversight Committee have formally requested testimony from Bill Gates as part of the ongoing Epstein investigation. This comes as lawmakers expand their probe into who in elite circles had clear connections to Jeffrey Epstein and what those elites knew. As reported by the Daily Beast, Bill Gates is among 7 individuals that the committee wants to question about possible links to Epstein and his trafficking operations. The billionaire tech entrepreneur has not been accused of wrongdoing relating to Epstein's crimes. However, his name appeared in the latest batch of Epstein files released by the Justice Department, including allegations in an unsent email written by Epstein that Gates hid a sexually transmitted disease from his wife after contact with Russian girls. His office dismissed the claims as absolutely absurd and completely false, although Gates himself later admitted to having extramarital relations with Russian women. Now, it might seem like nitpicking to make a distinction between Russian girls and Russian women, but knowing what we know about Jeffrey Epstein and his co conspirators, Russian girls is something to have the alarm bells ringing. That should raise every red flag in people's minds. Gates said he and Epstein met in 2011 and that they had several dinners over a 3-year period. He has denied any wrongdoing. Last month, Gates apologized to staff at the Gates Foundation over his relationship with Epstein. He admitted to having extramarital relations with Russian women, but denied any wrongdoing linked to Epstein's crimes. A spokesperson for Gates told the Wall Street Journal that the billionaire is looking forward to answering all the committee's questions to support their important work. Gates never witnessed or participated in any of Epstein's illegal conduct, the spokesperson said. The only fishy thing here is if they met in 2011, that was after Jeffrey Epstein was already a convicted sex offender. What did Gates think that he had to gain by being buddy buddy friends with somebody who's clearly a depraved individual? I have to re emphasize that email that was unsent from Epstein to Bill Gates because it reportedly claims that Gates hid STDs from his wife after those contacts with Russian girls. Now, this comes from Jeffrey Epstein himself, and there's no evidence to actually verify the allegation. But the existence of the message is raising serious questions about how Epstein attempted to collect compromising information on powerful people. And that's something that investigators have been examining for years, because many experts believe that Epstein cultivated relationships with powerful figures, not for social status or just because he liked those people, but it was to continue to build leverage on some of the most powerful people in the world, which then helped protect him from being held accountable for any of his crimes. That possibility is one reason lawmakers say they want Gates to testify and clarify exactly what happened during his interactions with Jeffrey Epstein. And Gates isn't the only powerful figure that Congress is investigating. According to CBS News, the Oversight Committee is asking 7 other individuals to testify relating to Jeffrey Epstein's connected network. Among them is Leslie Goff, Epstein's longtime executive assistant, Sarah Kellen, one of Epstein's closest associates, Leon Black, a billionaire co founder of the Apollo Global Management Group, Doug Band, a longtime aide to former President Bill Clinton, and Ted Waite, a tech billionaire tied to Epstein's social circle. More specific on Leon Black, the Department of Justice documents show that Black, co founder of investment firm Apollo Global Management, received advice from Epstein on how to keep a 6-year affair with a Russian woman from going public. In one September 2015 email, Epstein suggested to Black that he hire former law enforcement officers to approach the women about signing a non disclosure agreement. Choose method of message delivery, my choice. 2 highly respected former fill in the blank immigration Scotland Yard, SOF, who may knock on her door and present the terms, Epstein wrote. In October 2015, the woman signed a non disclosure agreement with Black in which he agreed to pay her 100,000 monthly for 15 years, forgive a 1 million loan and provide 2 million British pounds for her to obtain legal status in the UK. They are paying law enforcement officials to pressure women who were victims in these scandals to keep their mouths shut and then continue to pay them if to be secret. This is what the wealthy has the ability to do. And people need to understand that. This is not hypothetical. This is not cartoonish evil. This is happening in real life. And there's another name that's raising significant eyebrows, Catherine Rumler, the former White House counsel under Barack Obama. According to an article from Politico, Rumler is also being called to testify due to professional interactions she reportedly had with Epstein in later years. Rumler will soon resign from Goldman Sachs amid the mounting scrutiny over her close relationship with Epstein. Material released by the Justice Department revealed that Epstein called her when he was arrested for sex crimes. A spokesperson for Goldman Sachs declined to comment. Rumler, through a spokesperson, has said previously that she regrets knowing Epstein. She has not been charged with any misconduct. Ms. Rumler welcomes the opportunity to appear before the committee, said Jennifer Connolly, a spokesperson for Rumler, in a statement. At the time she interacted with Jeffrey Epstein, she was practicing criminal defense attorney and shared a client with him. She has done nothing wrong and had no knowledge of any ongoing criminal activity on his part. So she had no knowledge of the ongoing crimes Epstein was involved in, but she was one of the first people that he called when he was convicted for sex crimes. Make it make sense. The Epstein scandal has never been about a smoking gun for one particular individual. This has all been a story about something much deeper, how powerful people protect themselves. For decades, Epstein operated inside elite social circles filled with billionaires, politicians, celebrities, business executives, and despite multiple warnings, despite lawsuits, victim testimonies, he managed to maintain access to some of the most powerful people in the world. Former White House aides were the first people he called when he actually had any sort of accountability or transparency come out for his crimes. And that's not an accident. It is a reflection of a broader problem where wealth, status often insulate powerful people from scrutiny and that ordinary people would face immediately. If this was some working class person that was involved with Jeffrey Epstein or committed even a small drop of the crimes that Epstein committed, we know they'd be in jail for the rest of their lives. But the fact that Epstein was able to prolong these investigations for so long speaks to how powerful he and his circle were. In the United States, billionaires are treated less like citizens and more like institutions. They control massive resources, they influence politics, they fund charities and foundations that shape global policy. And because of that influence, their behavior often escapes scrutiny that everyone else has to face. The Epstein case has shattered that illusion. People cannot live in blind ignorance that the wealthy is not committing these types of crimes and cover ups. And it showed how elite networks can often operate behind closed doors for years while victims struggle to actually make their truth heard. This is why many advocates are believing that full transparency is necessary, regardless of who ends up implicated. People have said that if you convict everybody that's involved with Jeffrey Epstein, the entire system will collapse. But we should not allow a system that is predicated on terrible, depraved people controlling every aspect of our institutions. That is a system that deserves to collapse. Hopefully, Bill Gates and these other powerful people shed more light into the Epstein scandal and how far this story goes. But one thing is certain, this story is not over. Regardless of what these seven people say, we know that we're going to uncover more information. People like Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna are working tirelessly to continue to get transparency to the American people. And we need the average American to know how deep this rabbit hole goes. Power is so insulated and protects itself. And we need to ensure that the public is holding those people accountable, regardless of their wealth, status, or influence. Because when wealth, influence, and secrecy all collide, the truth has a very long time before it's actually surfaced. But we know eventually that truth will get out.